Tape Deck Media.
See you at the party, Richter!
Hello, and welcome back to See You at the Potty, Richter. My name is Chris Chapman, and joining me as always are Aaron Frescus.
Hello.
Joseph Beck Castro.
Hello, cutie pies.
And once again joining us for our continued coverage of Arnold's 1993 cartoon cat vehicle, Last Action Hero, is Erika Shasky.
Hello.
Welcome back. So, today we're just going to be doing more production information, and I'm going to throw it over to Aaron because he's got all sorts of super interesting things to tell us.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Yeah. So when we left off in the last episode, we did it with a couple of release dates. First, Columbia announcing Last Action Heroes, followed by Universal announcing Jurassic Park. And I just wanted to give a little heads up before we get started that we're going to do things a little differently than usual by including some, like an extremely condensed coverage of a second movie that's going to run parallel to our coverage of Last Action Hero. Yeah. And as you all, I'm assuming, figured, the second movie is Sister Act 2, Back in the Habit.
Hell yeah. God, I have so much to say.
Yeah. No, really. Jurassic Park.
Oh.
Yes. And the reason we're going to be doing that is because one is Jurassic Park, by the way. One is inextricably tied to the other. Like pretty much 95% of any info I found for Last Action Hero mentions Jurassic Park. Yeah. And even to this day, you're going to have a hard time finding an article about Last Action Hero that does not mention Jurassic Park. And that definitely only goes one way.
That kind of sucks for everyone involved in Last Action Hero.
Yeah, like it's even at the time it was doing it because they were both like the big blockbusters, but definitely now it's like tied to it now.
Damn.
Yeah. But basically I was trying to figure out like how to include the Jurassic Park stuff, and eventually I realized that the easiest way would just be to run like a super basic timeline parallel to Last Action Hero. Anyway, okay, so before continuing from where we left off, I want to take just like a couple of minutes to catch up with Jurassic Park's timeline, like up to Last Action Hero. By the way, for the most part, this is pretty much like bare bones basic timeline of Jurassic Park. We're going to be covering stuff that's only pertinent to Last Action Hero.
Oh, so we're not going all the way back to the dinosaurs and
well, yeah, but like
extinction.
Like as far as like Schwarzenegger's was born in like the 40s, so you got to skip all the rest of it and then jump to that.
Okay,
yeah, but so there's going to be a lot of info left out. Like go listen to a Jurassic Park podcast if you want a comprehensive history of Jurassic Park. By the way, my recommendations: there's a pornography themed one called "That's One Big Pile of Slit." And then, yeah. And then there's another one called Hold On to Your Mutts, which is hosted by Samuel L. Jackson's dog, which is cool.
Stupid.
Yeah.
Why is there slit instead of clit? I feel like that's a lost.
Because slit's funnier? I don't know. It's dirtier?
It's certainly grosser.
That sounds like something that
gyno DNA.
hold on to your sluts was another one for the porno one. Anyway, that just sounds like something that Shaft would say though, like from when he did Shaft. Hold on to your anyway. Okay,
that sounds like a slow jam ballad from the 90s,
right?
So real quick, gonna catch up on the timeline. Okay, so early 1990, Michael Crichton meets with Steven Spielberg to discuss Crichton's screenplay that would eventually become ER. They begin talking about Crichton's next book, Jurassic Park, and Spielberg asks to read it after admitting he's loved dinosaurs since he was a kid. Crichton lets him. Spielberg loves it. Crichton basically promises him the film rights as long as he's the one that directs it. Yeah, so unsurprisingly, Crichton's literary agent didn't give a single shit about this verbal promise. And incited a bidding war between the four major studios for the film rights, which were Warner Brothers, Columbia, TriStar. Columbia, TriStar, it's one studio, Fox, and then Universal. Yeah, so Crichton endorsed Spielberg, and Universal secured the rights in May 1990, 6 months before the book was published. Yeah, which is crazy. Like, does that has that happened? I really don't mean to do this, but because now I just thought of it. Because does it happen with what's his name stuff? Or I'm assuming
Stephen
it's
King's?
Scotty, right? Yeah.
I don't know.
I would assume.
I think that's a pretty regular thing in the publishing industry. Yeah.
Like
if
even at the time.
Yeah, like if the at the time, I don't know. But I know that now every studio just wants IPs for movies. And so if the publisher thinks they have anything, they'll go and try and sell it to
Okay. That makes
studios.
sense. Because like I'm assuming so if it's happening with Crichton, it's got to be happening with like John Grisham at the time.
For sure.
Stephen King, and then like anybody else that's, I don't know, Tom Clancy, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so Crichton is commissioned to write an initial preliminary version of the script, which he immediately begins working on. But at the same time, Spielberg hires a production designer and begins discussing which scenes to pull from the book.
Mm.
This all begins taking place 2 years before the filming begins and 3 years before the movie's released in the theaters. So in early 1991, Spielberg switches his attention to Hook, which was right around the time that Zach Penn and Adam Leff began writing the original draft of Last Action Hero. During this time, Crichton finishes up his preliminary draft of the script, and screenwriting duties are handed off to Malia Scotch Marmo, who was one of the writers on Hook. And the two films, Last Action Hero and Jurassic Park, definitely share some interesting like development parallels because Crichton's experience was pretty much the exact opposite of Zach Penn and Adam Leff's. Like Crichton didn't really want to do the screenplay, but agreed to do it anyway because he was so familiar with the story, even admitting in an interview that he told Spielberg, quote, "I'll do a draft for you and cut it down to budgetable size, but then you're going to want somebody else to polish the characters." I think that sort of surprised him because writers never say, get somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, unquote, but that's pretty much exact opposite of what happened with Penn and Leff.
Yeah.
Like, that's like a bizarro world version of like Penn and Leff towards like, which makes sense because Crichton was obviously like super established at the time and Penn and Leff were just starting out, but I just found the contrasting like experience interesting.
I also find it interesting that he specifically pointed out, like, I'm going to do a shitty job with the characters, so you probably want to have somebody take care of that.
He mentioned something about the fact that he's already, like, he was sick of the characters. He didn't want to... He basically said, he's like, I'm sick of the characters. I'm sick of the dinosaurs. I didn't want to do it.
Basically, I hate this story now, and I don't want to do this.
And like he said something about like figuring out. He's like, I already knew the problems that they would end up with, like story wise. So I just kind of helped it along.
Yeah, sure.
Anyway, so Spielberg finishes production on Hook in late August and almost immediately begins working on Jurassic Park, with pre-production officially commencing August 30th, 1991. Which was a full year before filming would begin and almost 2 years before the film was released. So that was during the time that Zach Penn and Adam Leff finished their script, find an agent, sell the script to Columbia, and then Columbia begins courting Arnold to star in the film. Jurassic Park...
That sounds cooler, actually.
Yeah.
It's a dinosaur with shades and like
Mohawk.
It's like Cyberpunk, but everybody's dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park is 6 months into their pre-production phase when this is going on, with still 6 months to go before filming begins. So during this time, Spielberg decides he's not happy with the script, and in February 1982, right around the time that Shane Black begins his rewrite of Last Action Hero, Spielberg brings David Koepp. David Koepp is brought in to replace Malia Scotch Marmo as the screenwriter for Jurassic Park, and Koepp ends up completely rewriting the script from scratch. Or I don't know, guess that's not rewriting. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, I don't know.
And he ends up being only the final script. He's credited on the film as, besides Michael Crichton, as the screenwriter. So he just continues tinkering with the script, like with Spielberg's input, pretty much right up until they begin filming. So that pretty much catches us up where we left off, which was in early August 1992, with Jurassic Park just about to wrap up a year's worth of pre-production, right around the time that Columbia locks Arnold into Last Action Hero with the $15 million deal, which also included a percentage of the profits for both the film and the ancillary rights. Yeah, there we go. Which is like stuff like merchandising, soundtrack, sequels, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Which I'm assuming Columbia agreed to because in addition to starring, he would also act as the film's executive producer. And that would be his first time in that position and would end up giving him a say in the marketing and the merchandising decisions. Which will come into play later.
Of course it will.
But in August of 92, Mark Canton, who is I mentioned before was the chairman, at the time was the chairman of Columbia Pictures, hosts a quote unquote synergy meeting that included 70 executives from various divisions of Sony, which was Columbia's parent company. So the meeting was basically one big like circle jerk where they were talking about how much money they were going to make from all the various merchandise and advertising from the film, and just like kind of discussing it, like just including basically the stuff like including the video games, the Sony music release soundtrack. I said that weird, but and a $25 million marketing campaign that included tie-ins with Burger King, Reebok, MTV, and Mattel. Yeah, so of course Schwarzenegger's there because he's the film's executive producer.
Sure.
And even gave a speech about his commitment to making the film a success while holding a stogie and saying, quote, "I want to be involved with every facet of the film from start to finish. I'm behind you. I'm accessible to each and every person in this room anytime," unquote. But yeah, I think I mentioned in the last episode that it was right around this time that Columbia supposedly announced a June 18th, 1993 release date. And I'm not exactly sure when, I say supposedly because it's mentioned like way later, like when the movie is released, that LA Times said that they announced it as far back as July. But the earliest that I could find about it was like with the date was like, I think like September. Anyway, so I'm not exactly sure when Universal announced the Jurassic Park release date, but the earliest mention of it I could find was, that September 1992 Variety article that mentions both films' release dates. But the date mentioned in the article are different from what they eventually end up being.
Oh.
So the date from Last Action Hero is still the same, but apparently Universal originally set Jurassic Park's release date for June 25th. So it would open a week after Last Action Hero.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Universal also held one of these merchandising and advertising synergy type meetings in October of 92 for Jurassic Park, but with one very notable difference. So instead of the executives from their own company like circle jerking each other, Universal invites a bunch of prospective promotional partners from various like fast food chains and toy and video game companies. Yeah. Smart. And those motherfuckers had to pitch for the honor of Universal granting them the advertising rights. Yeah, like hopefully like some like Thunderdome, like winner take all cat like cage match type of shit. But yeah, which is
3 minutes.
Some bonsai action right there. Basically, Universal knew that it had like it's a fucking Spielberg with the dinosaur. It's basically, obviously, it ends up getting compared to Jaws. And Spielberg actually said like it's Jaws on land.
Yeah.
But like it like Jaws, E.T., anytime you get like that type of Spielberg movie, it always, like so far, it's fucking crushed.
They're unstoppable. Yeah.
Yeah. Which like, especially like once they saw that like animatronic T-Rex created by ILM, it was just probably like, oh man, this movie's going to be good. Anyway. So after a few days after Columbia's synergy meeting, they basically start the campaigning for the movie to the media, with Arnold calling Last Action Hero, quote, "the ticket for 93," which I believe actually ends up being a tagline on one of the movie's posters. Yeah. There's also a couple of interesting quotes from Columbia's executives with their chief of marketing, whose name is Sid Ganis, doing just a bang-up job describing the movie's genre, saying, quote, "There's no genre for the movie. It only looks like an action movie. It's about an action movie star. I think it's more, what is it? It's fantasy." That is the way he's quoted.
Awesome.
Yeah. The ums in there. Shit.
Yes, it says like it's I think it's more, what is it? It's fantasy.
I'm sure that instilled a lot of confidence.
I can't, because like the media is going to play a big part in how this movie does, and I can't tell. It seems like from the beginning they're already rooting against him, to where you take that out usually.
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
you clean up the statement, and then you just put at the end like the edited for clarity thing.
Yeah.
So,
but also fantasy is the wrong term. When I hear fantasy, I think orcs and dwarves.
What would you think at the time though? Like Princess Bride, but like
like Conan.
Yeah, especially if Schwarzenegger's
Princess
involved.
Bride. Yeah.
I can't think of anything early 90s. That kind of died out for a little while, didn't it?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think. Labyrinth.
Never-ending Story.
Huh? Never-ending Story?
Oh, yeah. Never-ending Story,
Yeah.
It's a story.
I mean, it's still going on.
She's like, it fucking ended, so I'm not going to fucking...
Yeah.
They're full of shit.
Right. Lied to me.
I don't know. Just the way they did. Like, I'm no marketing whiz, but you probably should figure out the genre of the film that you're the head of marketing for before you speak to the media. Sid.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
come on. But
I'd say that's as much his fault as the media's fault.
I don't know.
Sci-fi, maybe a little bit.
See, it's
Well,
it's
no,
kind of hard
it
to
would be
describe.
hard sci-fi. Yeah,
Yeah, I'd
just stick
call
with
it action adventure.
Yeah, just stick with
Yeah.
action. But so you also had Columbia chairman Mark Canton telling them, quote, "Next summer is the season that will make me or break me. This is the big one. This is the best thing I've ever done." Unquote.
Awesome.
And yeah, hey man, that's cool. Whatever.
And I'm never getting fired.
Well, yes, which he doesn't for a while. But like that quote would be fine, except for the fact that that pretty much every article that quoted him as saying that also mentioned the time when he was VP of Warner Brothers. He said that The Bonfire of the Vanities was the best movie he ever saw. So, which I mentioned before, but yeah. So like every single time, every single article that I read just was like, he said this, but then they threw that in there too. It was just like, damn, like you guys are already, which again, part of the problem with this movie is like arrogance and whatever. And it starts right from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like of arrogance of the marketing.
for sure.
And we'll get back to the marketing campaign later, but it's getting off to a great start, as we can tell. Okay, so late August. Jurassic Park's about 2 weeks into filming. This is when Last Action Hero begins its pre-production phase. And there wasn't much info I can find as far as pre-production. I'm assuming because of the shortened length, which I've been told isn't a big deal. It's how you use it that matters, you know? And that wasn't great that Erika was the first person that laughed about that, but all right.
Yeah, I wouldn't know anything about that.
Anyway, so he just keeps laughing throughout the whole rest of the episode.
She just can't.
How you
Just
use
muttering
it.
to herself every once in a
Yeah.
while. Doesn't matter.
How you use it?
Anyway. Yeah, so basically, in order for the film to be ready in time for its June 18th release, the Last Action Hero production team was given a pre-production period of only 8 weeks.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, compared...
that's shorter than our segments on pre-production.
Exactly. We're the Jurassic Park of pre-productions. So that's compared to 2 years for Jurassic Park, which I get. Like they need more time because you got to create like the digital.
Yeah, I mean,
practical
Jurassic Park's
effects.
a different thing.
Yeah, but still,
that's
like,
still a huge, that's such a huge difference.
Yes, and I looked up the average pre-production time, and it's anywhere between 3 and 6 months. So 8 weeks is fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like that's setting your film up for failure, basically.
Mhm.
I don't know, and I don't even know if a longer overall production time would have meant that the film would have performed better financially, because like as we'll find out, the quality of the film didn't seem to like it wasn't like the sole factor or even the biggest factor behind why it bombed at the box office. But
Yeah.
anyway, so the pre-production stuff I wanted to mention was just pretty much the casting, because this movie has like when you look at the actual cast, a pretty freaking awesome cast.
Yeah.
There's 4 Oscar winners, which were F. Murray Abraham, and he won for Amadeus in 1985 Best Actor. Anthony Quinn, who played Vivaldi, Benedict's boss.
Yep.
Won 2 supporting actors, and one in 1957 for Lust for Life, which I think is about Iggy Pop, and then like 1953 Viva Zapata, which is about a shoe. Is that what Zapata is?
Yes.
Okay.
Zapato.
Zapata, what?
Zapato.
Is it an O or a? Because I know that makes a difference in Spanish.
It's an O.
Good.
Zapatos.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's Zapata then?
A girl shoe. It's
Yeah,
a
it's a lady
pumper
shoe.
heel.
No, it's a name.
Every pair has a male shoe and a female shoe.
If a girl's wearing it, it's a Zapata. Guys wearing it's a Zapato.
I think Joe's right. It was probably about Emiliano Zapata.
Oh, okay, did you look it up?
But I just looked up Zapata, and that's the
Okay.
first thing that,
Okay.
that shows up.
Wait, Amelia Anna
Zapato.
Zapata.
Like a toe. Like a toe.
Yeah, so Emiliana Zapata,
Yeah.
the girl shoe. Or the
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
shoe
exactly.
designer. A girl
Pancho
shoe
Villa
designer.
was the male shoe, and Emiliano Zapata was the female shoe.
Okay, cool. Just making sure.
That's why there's a pair, a right and a left.
You then had Art Carney, who I did not know won an Oscar. Who was, what do we say, the Honeymooners? Yeah.
That's the main thing.
Yeah, the Honeymooners. That's what he was in. He was his favorite cousin Frank. His favorite second cousin Frank. But yeah, he won an Oscar in 1975 for Best Actor for Harry and Tonto. I don't know what that is. It sounds slightly like it might be problematic.
Yeah.
But I didn't look it up because I was running out of time at this point. So maybe it's about Harry and the Hendersons and Tonto and how they would be friends, because that I don't know. Like,
the funny thing is, you could put that in a lineup with like BJ and the Bear and a couple other things, and I'd be like, yeah, it all sounds the same. But one of them won an Oscar.
That's actually, I don't know if you guys know the band Minus the Bear, but that's how they got their name. Was somebody was like, hey, how'd the date go? He's like, remember the movie BJ and the Bear? It's just like that, minus the bear. And so that's how the name, they got their name. Also, I know I've seen F. Murray Abraham and other stuff, but I can only picture him in Mythic Quest. So I don't know if you guys seen that.
That's what I mostly know him from. I mean, I know I've seen him in other stuff like Amadeus. But.
I think I only know him from this in Amadeus. 13 Ghosts. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He's in that?
Yeah. He's
he's Ghost number 8.
He plays the owner of the house, I think. Yeah. But it's you know what? If I would have had more time, I probably would have looked at. We'll get there, because eventually we're going to look at their careers afterwards. Because I'm like, man, it wasn't going well if he's doing. I mean, whatever. Anyway, I like 13 Ghosts, but it also had like boobs in it. So they were prosthetic, but it didn't take much at that point, like back in 2001 or 2000.
They're in a squiggly fucking line.
Exactly. Anyway.
Shit, I can draw a pair of boobs right now and jerk off to it. Fucking whiteboard, pencil, chalk, whatever you want.
Joe's like, sometimes I can't write W's. I don't know what to tell you.
W's, B's.
Ooh, if I turn the paper sideways, or it looks. It's like, God damn
Even
it.
used to just start.
Getting mad when that's what happens to me. Anytime I see something, I'm like, God damn it. Now I got to jerk off. Anyway.
It's like it's a chore for you. God
sometimes it kind of is. I was going to write. Well, all right. I guess I'm making my pencil.
Like you got gum on your shoe. It's like, all right, I guess I'll spend 20 minutes doing this.
Warm up my writing hand.
Okay. Then the last person with the Oscar is Mercedes Ruehl. I think that's how you say her last name, which is Danny's mom. And she won it in 1992 for Best Actress for The Fisher King, which I think is...
Is that Robin Williams?
I think so, but I get that mixed up with something else. Is that the Jeff Bridges Robin Williams one?
Searching for Bobby
Fischer?
Fischer?
Yeah, the one where he's
I've never seen
it. Homeless, I think.
Yeah,
where Robin Williams is homeless.
Maybe.
I'm pretty sure that's it.
Yeah. Well, let's say it is.
Those movies there's 3 movies that always stick together in my mind because Robin Williams looks like a slob in them. It's The Fisher King, Moscow on the Hudson, and Jacob the Liar.
Wait, isn't he clean shaven in Jacob the Liar?
Is he? Maybe I'm confusing that for another movie.
Jumanji?
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. Yep. That's what I'm confusing for Jacob the Liar.
Isn't Jacob the Liar about the Holocaust?
Yep.
Okay. Okay. And then featured 2 Oscar nominees, which were the awesomely named Joan Plowright, which I read that name. I was like, fuck yeah.
Hey, stop.
Oh my God.
Stop stepping on my bit.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, using all
like,
my
God
material.
damn it, crossing names off.
Yeah.
She played Danny's teacher. In 1993, she won Best Actress for Enchanted April, which I have no idea what that's about.
Oh, what was she in?
But she also, she was in Dennis the Menace. She played Mrs. Wilson.
That's right.
Yeah.
She's Mrs. Wilson.
Yeah.
Oh, George.
Anyway, there was also Michael V. Gazzo, who plays Torelli, which I don't remember who Torelli is. I'm assuming he's part of the mob people. I don't know. Anyway, the rest of the cast is pretty good as well.
Yeah.
There's Charles Dance, who played Benedict, and at the time had like an ass load of credits. but I only really knew him from The Golden Child, the like weird ass 1986 movie that Eddie Murphy did apparently between Beverly Hills Cop 1 and 2, which is strange because he was fucking huge at the time. And that's what sorry. Like I looked at it real fast because like, wait, when was this in Eddie Murphy's career? That's weird. That it's in between when he was at his pinnacle, but he was also like in his list of stuff, he I think that's when he was trying to do music at the same time. So yeah. Anyway, Golden Child. I mean, the movie's fine. I don't know.
I remember liking it, but I haven't seen it in just, I don't know, 15 plus
I
years.
just remember it being fucking weird.
Yeah.
It's just very weird. It's got a weird tone to it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like Eddie Murphy seems out of it's like not kind of out of like I don't know. Anyway, so Charles Dance had just come off Alien 3, so it's kind of like a 1-2 punch of quote unquote bad movies.
Yeah,
it wasn't
or bombs.
No, they weren't bombs because I looked up
not bombs, but like
critical bombs. Yeah, but yeah, I was like, at first I would put down bombs, and then I looked up Alien 3, and it had a $50 million budget and made like $150 million or $160 million or something like that. So,
damn.
I mean, unless like the marketing was crazy for it, or I don't know. There was also Austin O'Brien, who plays Danny. Mm-hmm. His only credit before this was the 1992 movie Lawnmower Man, which I never watched, but like seemed kind of weird, and I'm pretty sure is like a Stephen King book. But I like did Joe? Did you watch that? Because I figured if anyways,
I think maybe I did in the 90s, and then I've wanted to watch it recently, but just haven't got around to it. But I know Stephen King absolutely hated that movie.
Oh.
Is that the name of the story?
It's a short story, yeah.
Okay.
But I always get that, and what was that one with Edward Furlong? Where he goes in like a virtual reality world, and things get all...
Wait, are you talking about...
Pecker, that's what it is now.
Are you talking about Virtuosity?
I think that's the song by Jamiroquai. No, that's Virtual Insanity. Brain Scan, that's what it was.
Brain Scan. What year was that?
94, so a teenager is part of an interactive video game where he kills innocent victims. Later, the murders become real.
Oh, shit.
Jumanji 3.
Yeah. So moving on from there, there's a couple of important production dates that bookend November 1992, with production on Last Action Hero finally beginning on November 2nd, and then Jurassic Park wrapping production on November 30th, which Spielberg finished almost 2 weeks ahead of schedule and several $1 million under budget, which I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's like one of his like things that he's known for. Like as far as like stuff like that as being extremely efficient, I guess, when it comes to just filming. Like her and I were watching a Raiders of the Lost Ark thing a long time ago where he's very good at like, we don't need that scene. I guess as the story's going along. I know he doesn't film like in
not in sequential order, but yeah.
But yeah, he's very good with that stuff.
He's got a good eye for that, yeah.
Heads up, but some of the dates for the Last Section of production stuff I'm going to mention are a bit vague. Kind of tried my best to sort of get it into a timeline, but it might not be completely accurate. And I don't know, you guys don't care. That's for anybody that might be listening that's like, what the fuck? They're not even close. Yeah. Just like super.
That's for commenters, so shut the fuck up.
Yeah, exactly. For the people that listen. So anyway, so according to Columbia Pictures, the film supposedly had a budget of $47.5 million. Which is bullshit because when you consider that they paid $20 million to just Schwarzenegger and John McTiernan, 20.5 because McTiernan's was 5.5. So it's honestly strange, like the stuff that Columbia ends up lying about, like as far as the film, because we're definitely going to see more of it. So yeah, according to pretty much everyone else, the actual original budget was set for $60 million. So $40 million after Arnold and McTiernan.
Sure,
they're going to be able to stay within that budget and finish the film on time, right? They have like 8 weeks or whatever. Yeah.
Come on.
Like if Spielberg can do it with Jurassic Park, then they can do it too. Yeah?
Exactly. Considering how much preparation went into this movie.
Yeah, exactly. Those 8 weeks. And part of the reason that Spielberg like banged out production so quickly on Jurassic Park, and I read this, but it sounds like it's pretty much true, but he originally had his heart set on doing Schindler's List after Hook, because Hook was the one that he did before Jurassic Park. But Universal, specifically Sid Sheinberg, basically held Schindler's List hostage until after he gave them Jurassic Park.
Jesus.
So supposedly they would only greenlight Schindler's List on the condition that Spielberg made Jurassic Park first. Yeah, just like, oh, wait, you want to do your passion project? Like, because they knew he was like, because he was like, I got to make this movie. He's like, well, they're like, well, that's unfortunate because my passion project is I want to own one of every yacht that's available.
Yeah.
Like,
Dingle,
so we're going to need
dingle.
Jurassic Park first. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure he went directly from wherever they finished filming Jurassic Park to Europe. Eastern. I don't know where they filmed Schindler's List. I was going to look it up and I'm like, I don't know. But I know it was in
read
Europe.
somewhere that he was doing the editing on Jurassic Park. While
So he was supervising post-production from wherever he was doing that. Yeah, which I'm sure was super fun when you're just getting depressed as fuck. While doing that. Like, yeah. I don't know. That was just a little fact that I was like, man, the studios are whatever. Anyway,
it's not like Spielberg is known for like dropping out of projects or anything. Like, I don't know why you wouldn't trust him to anyway.
There's always a first time.
Maybe they just wanted money now, or
yeah, they always want the money now.
He had maybe Sid Sheinberg had I'm pretty sure that's the one they always mention on 30 Rock, by the way, too, because it's like Sheinberg. True. Yeah, because I think they end up Scheinhardt. Oh, Scheinhardt. Okay, well, but still, like,
yeah.
I'm sure that's what they're whatever.
It is. Krakow, Poland.
Krakow.
That's where he was for Schindler's List?
Mm-hmm.
To start? Or
that's the main filming location.
Oh, okay. But I don't know. Like, I'm curious if Jurassic Park helped, like, the success. Like, Steven Spielberg, who just did Jurassic Park, is doing Schindler's List, and that helps this, like, the sales or whatever, like the box office for that. But
I feel like it's probably the opposite. I mean, maybe it would help more than Hook, I guess. But, like, I feel like it's probably the opposite, where people saw him doing a serious drama about the Holocaust and were like, you're going to get the Jaws and Jurassic Park and fucking E.T. dude to do a serious movie about the Holocaust?
See, now I want to end up looking that up. I don't know. Anyway, okay. So, like I said, filming on Last Action Hero began November 2nd, 1992, with Austin O'Brien telling Empire in a 2012 interview, quote, "During the first week on set, we kept screen testing cars. Arnold and I would drive around in different vehicles, trying to find an iconic car for Slater. That was such a strange process. I also remember Slater's boots being a really big deal," unquote, but that totally sounds like something they should be spending a week doing.
Wait, why is Austin O'Brien getting fucking input on like what car he drives and what?
No, I think he was just with them as they were just driving around. Like, you know, did you watch the movie
just
yet?
for fun?
Did you watch the movie again?
Yeah.
It's got to be, they're driving around a lot throughout, like when they're...
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. Like, he's like, which two of these guys look the coolest in? Or something. Like, it's got to be something like that.
Maybe. Yeah, I guess maybe if they were doing actual, like, screen testing for it, yeah.
But you think that sounds like a pre-production thing, though, so...
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. Anyway.
Those boots that he ends up with, too, look very similar to the ones, that he shows off on Regis and Kelly.
Yeah.
You got a taste for him.
Right?
In case you guys are thinking, like, well, maybe, that's probably not the best use of their time. They're very limited production time, but maybe it means they'll try extra hard to stick to the original estimated budget. Well, if I got a quote for you, which comes from Austin Bryan, again, in that same Empire article, saying, quote, "Every day there was something amazing happening. A car flying over a truck or a huge gunfight. And we had a big enough budget that if we blew something up and it didn't look great, we'd do it again." Unquote. Totally can extend their budget by doing stuff like that.
That's great.
Then in addition to potential...
shit, I blinked.
My lens cap's on.
But then in addition to potential time and budget issues, they began running into problems while filming pretty much right off the bat. Because about 3 weeks into production, while shooting the opening scene in downtown Los Angeles, which was like the Ripper and Jack Slater's kid scene. Mm-hmm. But yeah, according to Variety, the special effects explosions reportedly blew out the windows of several neighboring houses.
Shit.
Yeah, so they had to pay for that. But whatever. But like, holy fuck, how big is that explosion?
That's just real. That's just like real life. The LAPD blew out everybody's windows with those fireworks a few years ago.
Did they? What happened with the fireworks?
You don't remember that?
Yeah.
They found a bunch of illegal fireworks
and decided to dispose of them.
Yeah, so they put them in this like bomb disposal thing, which was just like a dome on a truck, and then blew them up in the middle of a crowded neighborhood. Just exploded them all at once.
What the fuck?
And it set off a bunch of car alarms. It blew out everybody's windows. It was fucking, yeah.
Wow.
Jesus.
Just dumb assholes.
Okay. So yeah, a few weeks later, while filming at night in the Mulholland Hillside area, which I'm pretty sure is like the rich area, like that's where I think where celebrities live.
Like Mulholland's, yeah, like a nicer part of it.
Yeah. They encountered, quote, blunt community resistance, according to the Hollywood Reporter. And I'm assuming that was due to excessive noise, but it didn't say. But they eventually agreed to be done by midnight for the remaining 2 weeks that they were there. And this kerfuffle with the rich people living in Mulholland, the Mulholland area, took place mid to late December, which I mentioned because it was also around the time they released their first trailer for the film, which was actually a teaser trailer. And I have a bit of interesting info for this, like for the teaser trailer. But first I wanted to show it to you guys. So here, let me...
Yeah.
Hi guys, just cutting in real quick to say sorry and let you know that we're not actually going to include any of the teaser trailers that we watched because there's basically no dialogue in them. But if you want to watch them, we did include the YouTube links for all of them in the episode description. So definitely make sure to check them out if you haven't seen them before because they're pretty interesting. But yeah, anyway, that's all. Let's get back to it. Okay, so...
I like it. Looks like it should be 3D.
Well, there isn't really much to it for those listening. It was like, it's like... There's not much happening. It's sort of like the part of the opening scene, but like not any of the good stuff.
It's a teaser.
It's basically Arnold's character arriving to the opening scene.
Exactly. And even that is only the last like 15 seconds.
Yeah. And it's him talking to the camera real fast.
Yeah, I think there was a couple cool things like when the spotlight goes outside of the frame.
I didn't even notice that.
You didn't even know. Okay.
By the way, it's a lot better in headphones when you're actually like, yeah. Anyway. Yeah. Well, we're going to end up posting it eventually.
The screen is slowly, the like picture is slowly growing in frame, and some elements of the movie are actually like leaving the frame, so it kind of gives you a hint as to what the movie is going to be.
See, I didn't even catch that.
I like everything about the teaser except for the part where they call their shot and they're like, the big ticket for 93.
That's going to become a problem eventually.
Why would you ever do that?
So according to a few different sources, this trailer allegedly cost anywhere between $500,000 and $750,000, with Variety reporting that the explosion sequence allegedly cost $300,000, which is freaking insane because there weren't really any. I'm assuming, which is what I was thinking of. I'm assuming those were the explosion sequences that blew out the windows, because it feels like they filmed this when they were filming that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
There was fire shooting out of the building, but that's it, right? Like there was nothing else.
No, like real big explosions.
Yeah, so. Like, I'm not trying to sound like some kind of townie here. Like, I know that that's not a crazy amount of money when it comes to a Hollywood movie, like $500,000. But the T2 trailer supposedly cost $150,000. And I'll say this again because I know I said this during the Terminator 3 episode, but that Terminator 2 trailer was much more effective as far as hyping movies.
Yeah.
And here, Erika hasn't seen that. So, plus, I just want to watch it again. So, I'm just going to do that real fast. That way she knows what we're talking about. I don't know.
It's pretty good.
I know it's a sequel trailer, so it's a little different, but still, like, it's so good. And by the way, I'm not 100% sure that costs $150,000 because most of the stuff that I could find about its cost linked to an article that doesn't provide any sort of legitimate source. Okay. Because I did see one that's saying that it costs $500,000, but I wouldn't be surprised if it did cost $150,000 because there's not a lot to it.
Well, I was going to say that at first, like before I rewatched it, but now looking at it, it's like they actually kind of had to build a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? Like the Last Action Hero trailer, they didn't build anything. They just parked a bunch of cars, had a little bit of fire and lights. I don't know. Yeah, it's also a lot of close-ups too. That like with the Terminator. That's true, but yeah, I don't know. I'm sure I'll spend way too much time trying to find the actual cost of that when we cover Terminator 2. But yeah, and once again, I think it's important to compare what Columbia did for Last Action Hero to Universal's Jurassic Park teaser trailer, which was released around the same time, and I don't know. We'll watch it first before I comment on it.
Hold on to your butts.
Okay, so we're not going to include a lot of that in the whatever, but like just like Last Action Hero, it's not a scene from the movie. It's sort of like a basic version of the dig scene from the movie, which with like someone finding a fossilized mosquito and then extracting that sweet dino jism, which I think that's what it is, right? It's not. For sure. That's what mosquitoes drink.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The mosquito blows the dinosaur.
Right.
Yeah.
And then it goes and takes a rest on the nearest tree.
Exactly.
Gotten bug bites on my balls. So
Yeah, exactly. When you see a mosquito, like usually when I see a mosquito flying around, I pull my pants down. I'm like, go to town, fellas. You know?
Somebody's got to put their mouth on it. No?
I like it was once the voiceover came in, I was like, this is like a cold open for an Unsolved Mysteries.
Yeah,
Well,
it really gave me
exactly.
Unsolved Mysteries, or like as a kid, the only thing I was allowed to really watch was like
Bible stuff?
Bible stuff. It really reminds me of like the Bible stories, like by Hanna-Barbera.
Is it The Voice?
Yeah, it's The Voice, and in the Jurassic Park thing and everything really
Yeah.
gave me those vibes. I kind of want to find a trailer just to send it to you guys to be like, yep, that's it.
I really, now after saying the Unsolved Mysteries thing, I really wish they would have got Robert Stack to do that, because
Yeah, that would have been great.
that'd have been awesome. The trailer's fine. There's not much to it, and absolutely no dinosaurs. But I don't know. Like, I watched both of them last night, and I think it works better the fact that they're hyping dinosaurs.
Yeah. I mean, I wasn't around, and maybe you guys were too young. Was the novel like a huge hit? Like, would it be enough to get like name recognition just from the novel?
No, I don't think so. Because from what I read, it was a moderate success, and then it got big after the movie came out.
Got it.
Yeah. And by the way, I spent way too long, like, unsuccessfully looking for the budget for that trailer. But because of how basic it is, I'm assuming there's no way it costs more than like $60 to $70. Like, there's no way it costs more than that.
Just like some day laborers hitting some rocks.
There's like, wait, that was a $500,000 trailer.
Rented a microscope.
You know what? That's what reminded me of the Bible Adventures too, because the specific one I watched was like three archaeologists, and they had like found like some big
Found a caveman riding a dinosaur.
No, they like found, I don't know, like some sort of doorway, and it opens, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. I just remember it's like archaeologists, and it's got this voiceover, and then it's all like big production of like doo 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 doo, and it just shows like, you know,
wow,
like
really banking off the Jurassic Park thing.
like really, like I don't know.
And then they found out that dinosaurs were testing your faith, and
Plus, it was Hanna-Barbera. Like, that's top tier cartoons, you know. So if I'm not allowed to watch regular ones, might as well watch the top tier Bible ones I can.
You know what's great watching the old Simpsons with her is anytime the Flanders stuff comes on, and like Rod and Todd Flanders start singing some songs, and Erika's singing the songs with them. I'm like, holy shit, you had an interesting childhood. Like, I came in just before, because I was playing drums like right before we started, and it came out, and it's that scene where Homer's trying to run from them, because it's the same episode that we were talking about before we started, the Homer the Heretic, where he's running from them. They're singing the joy of a 40 Daisy Daisy, and I come around the corner and Erika's singing the song with them. And there's one other one where it was, which I think is the same, like their third season.
It's going to be about Jesus, is it?
He's trying to figure out how where they learn the language from. They finally figure out it's Homer. But
I was just watching that one the other day.
Yes, and they're playing a board game, and they start singing a song, and she's in the room, and I walk in there. I'm like, I feel like this is shit that you would do, because she was already in bed. She's like, yeah, I was listening to it. I totally knew that song too. Like, I was like, oh my god. She's like, we definitely played those type of games.
Oh my god.
But anyway, okay, so and again, like, watching that Last Action Hero trailer this time was like, okay, this isn't as bad as like the first couple times that I watched it, but like, it was just baffling to me that cost $500,000.
Yeah,
and it also seems that
that's the only one that had a cast member in it, right? You got to pay Arnold for that trailer,
right?
No, because he's an executive producer, so I'm assuming it's already included.
Fair. Yeah.
They were just completely banking on the fact that Arnold Schwarzenegger's star power would sell the film.
Yeah.
Because they don't show anything, which, whatever. But, like, on top of that, what are you going to show? Because, like, you can't really explain what the movie... It's hard to explain what the movie's about.
But that's kind of why I like... Yeah, I kind of like that there's, like, some hints at its meta-ness, that, like, stuff is leaving the frame and that he's talking straight to the audience.
I did not notice any of that at all. Except for obviously, talking to the audience. But any of the other stuff.
Well, the smoke came out first.
Mm-hmm. So okay, I gotta watch that again. But anyway, they're like, it's an Arnold Schwarzenegger film. It doesn't matter what it's about. Come on, you got like the biggest star in the world, which at the time would make sense. Like,
I don't know, I found that trailer way more interesting than the Jurassic Park one. But
Yeah, me too.
See, that Jurassic Park one, once the voiceover comes in, it gets me like,
Yeah,
all
I
right.
was immediately bored.
Like the beginning of it is not the best, but once the voiceover comes in and it's like kind of, I'm like, all right, fuck yeah.
No,
like,
the voiceover immediately, I was like, oh, is this a documentary? Like, like I was opposite.
The first time I watched Jurassic Park one, I was like, this is just as boring as the fucking Last Action Hero one. But when I watched it last night, I was like, okay, this isn't bad. Anyway.
See, I'm the opposite. That one's like, they found the dino DNA. And first time humans, dinosaurs are together. It's like, meh. I don't give a shit. But the other one's like shit blowing up, and then Arnold rolls up. Yeah. You're like, here comes Slater.
Yeah.
You know, he's throwing with the gun. Yeah. I'm like, hell yeah.
And he breaks the third like wall and talks to you, and you're like, fuck yeah. Like, I'm on board, dude.
Fucking get it.
Yeah.
They should have had Mr. DNA do the narration on
that's what a great
DNA.
Man and dinosaur.
It's a dinosaur.
Is that fucking Sergeant Candy from Terminator 3? I'm Sergeant Candy. I found some dino DNA.
Anyway. Okay, so moving back to the Last Action Hero production, which was shooting at different locations around Southern California in January 93. And I'll give some details on the locations when we do the summary. But yeah, a couple of important decisions happened around this time that possibly had like a big effect on how both films performed at the box office. The first one, which happened sometime during the week of January, like between like January 18th and January 26th, was Universal deciding to move up Jurassic Park's release date by 2 weeks. So instead of a June 25th release, which would have been a week after Last Action Hero, Universal announced that Jurassic Park would now hit theaters June 11th, so 1 week before. And that left Columbia with the decision to make, specifically Chairman Mark Canton, who had decided Last Action Hero was his baby. Basically, he wanted to start a franchise with it, so it was going to like make his mark as the head of the studio, his first big film.
It's already called The Last Action Hero.
Yeah.
Where do you go after that? Second before last?
Back, you loop it around and so first?
Negative one?
Lastest?
I don't know. Okay,
so anyway, does Mark Canton still keep the June 18th release date, even though he knows how tight the schedule is? Or does he maybe swap dates with another film? For instance, Clint Eastwood's In the Line of Fire, which was scheduled to come out July 9th, about 2 weeks after Last Action Hero. Because in addition to basically like taking it like out of direct competition, pretty much with Jurassic Park, it would also give Last Action Hero their extremely rushed schedule some much needed time for additional post-production fine-tuning. Mm-hmm. Sounds like an okay idea looking back now, which okay, whatever. But at the time, Mark Canton, aka Bonfire of the Cannities, was pretty much like, fuck that, we're going to keep the release date because this is the best movie I've ever seen. And I've seen like 4 movies. Which he definitely said. Anyway. And supposedly his reason for this decision was due in part to Canton putting too much stock into having a film starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, which makes sense. And I totally agree with him as far as that, because Arnold was like the biggest star in the world at the time. So I don't think that Canton put too much stock in Arnold, because a year later, True Lies would obviously prove he still has massive box office appeal.
Yeah.
But his biggest mistake was that apparently Canton underestimated Steven Spielberg's box office prowess. Yeah. Whose last 2 films, 1989's Always and then 1991's Hook, didn't end up doing as well as expected. And by the way, this in no way means they lost money. Yeah. Hook made $300 million on a $70 million budget.
Jesus Christ.
Although, quote unquote, underperformed by only making $119 million domestically. So, like, if that happened to Ivan Reitman, they would have put him on suicide watch. I'm like, oh my God. Seriously. But yeah, and then
if that happened to anybody today, they'd be the biggest director in the fucking world.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then there was his 1989 film Always, which I haven't seen, but I think it's about the Blink-182 song. Like, I don't know what else it would be about. But yeah, that made $74 million on a $43.8 million budget, which I think I don't know if it lost money, because it's also a romantic drama. So I don't know how much they spent on marketing. Like, I didn't look too much into it, so it's possible that it probably broke even or like made a little bit of money. Anyway, the problem was that this was Spielberg, whose other movie released in 1989 besides Always was Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, which made $474 million on a $48 million budget.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Jesus.
So if you think about it, it's not really that his 2 follow-ups failed. It's the fact that they were Spielberg films and they didn't make $1 kajillion at the box office.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So unfortunately, that doofus Mark Canton was supposedly only considering those last two films. And while Spielberg's last two films were considered box office disappointments, Arnold's last few films were fucking huge.
Yeah.
So his last four films, which were Twins, which made $216 million, Kindergarten Cop, $202 million, Total Recall, $261 million, and Terminator 2, $518 million, grossed about $1.2 billion worldwide. So the confidence Mark Canton had in Arnold is, like I said, totally justifiable.
Yeah.
Like, basically underestimating how well Steven Spielberg's films performed when Spielberg is making, like, a summer blockbuster.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, so...
It's like, Always isn't going to make, like, fucking Jaws money or
right.
E.T. money.
Exactly. And Jaws was, like, the ultimate summer blockbuster.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
yeah, he literally invented
the summer blockbuster. Yeah.
Exactly. And I guess, supposedly, Mark Canton thought Spielberg was on a downslide. Like, after his last two films underperformed, because he was like, oh yeah, his career's on a downslide. But looking at his filmography at Spielberg's, before Last Crusade, he hadn't done a true summer blockbuster since Temple of Doom, which was 1984. So, what is that? I don't know, math, 5 years?
Yeah.
So the movies he directed between those two Indiana Jones films were The Color Purple in 1985 and Empire of the Sun. I think Empire of the Sun might have lost money, and I don't remember what Color Purple made, but I don't think it lost money.
Yeah.
I wouldn't expect it to.
But just the three Indiana Jones films earned $1.2 billion worldwide.
Damn.
Yeah. And that's just his Indiana Jones films as far as movies in the 80s. You throw in E.T., that made another $619 million. So he made almost $2 billion. Yes, almost $2 billion from 4 movies.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
And that's just his like movies in the 80s, because he also had Close Encounters of the Third Kind and fucking Jaws in the 70s, which, as we already discussed, had had a huge impact by crushing Bob Rafelson's dreams of continuing to make pretentious movies. He's like, I'm going to keep riding this train through the 80s and the 90s or whatever. He's like,
hey, that's a good thing.
You killed my sex life, Spielberg. You know how many casting couch fucking opportunities I lost because of you?
Blockbuster, more like cockbuster. Come on.
That was his nickname for Spielberg.
Yeah.
Anyway, the stupid thing is that even Spielberg himself described Jurassic Park as Jaws on land. So I don't think anyone involved with Jurassic Park had any doubt that it was going to be huge.
Yeah. So
underestimating Spielberg just was extremely short-sighted on Mark Canton's part. Especially when it's a movie about bringing dinosaurs to life. So, and he always doesn't go to any half measures, like with Jaws or anything like that. I'm trying to think. They don't show any aliens in Close. I've never seen Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I don't think they show any aliens. I think it's just like
ship, right?
It's just like a Jefferson's kind of starship, I think, that they show.
Yeah, they're like blinking the lights, and then he puts the mashed potatoes together. And then,
wait, is that what the...
Yeah, that's exactly what the Simpsons thing is.
Where he's like, becoming a clown?
Know that?
Yeah. Oh, screw you guys, I'm going to clown college. Yeah, no, like... yeah, Richard Dreyfuss is like all obsessed with the aliens, and he thinks they're giving him signals, and he makes a fucking spaceship out of...
No, he makes the mountain, remember?
Or whatever, I don't know.
The like...
See,
the
have you seen that too?
They go to, and I've seen parts of it a long time ago.
Is it good? I'm assuming it's good.
Yeah,
it seemed decent. Yeah,
I haven't seen it in like 15 years, but yeah, I think at the end he goes, spoilers, on the spaceship. So
so I think that was a correct thing I read, where it was like abandoning your family or something like that. Yeah. And again, like, who knows if switching dates would have even helped Last Action Hero? But like,
I mean, I think it would have, because they're kind of, I guess, going kind of, that PG-13 area of attracting those viewers,
the same audience.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if they would have switched out In the Line of Fire, which is probably like an R.
That's a very true, because that's a completely different audience too. That's
exactly
like there ain't no way Clint Eastwood's going for the Jurassic Park audience.
Nope. He wants those old racists.
That's a very good point. Okay. As far as like switching dates, like helping Last Action Hero, you would have had more time in post-production. And then again, like we were saying, not going directly up against Jurassic Park. So there's no way it wouldn't have hurt it switching dates.
Yeah, for sure.
And he gives we'll get to one of his reasons later, but it's just one of the many odd, like ridiculously overconfident decisions that Columbia made about Last Action Hero. And it was definitely overconfidence because they continuously touted it like as the biggest movie. You saw the ticket of 93, the biggest movie of 1993. And basically shrugged off any mentions of Jurassic Park by saying they weren't worried about the movie. Like they weren't, no competition. There's even a picture. Actually, here, let me see if I can add it to
Were they aware of how realistic these dinosaurs looked?
See, that's another thing because like from what I read when I was looking stuff up, they were originally like thinking about doing stop motion, but
I remember reading that.
Yeah, that would have
looked.
Looked
just brings to mind that old
the Sinbad ones,
right.
like you know his TV specials where he's
house guest.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
first kid.
Yeah, all his HBO specials.
It reminds me of Mrs. Doubtfire with the one guy that's like going with the dinosaurs, just being like, "Ugh, this guy sucks." Yeah.
Okay. They were definitely not worried about, or made it themselves seem like they weren't worried about Jurassic Park. There's even a picture from, I think it was Premiere Magazine, of Arnold on set after they filmed the tar pit scene with him pointing and laughing at the T-Rex behind him. Like, here's the picture of it.
That's funny.
Right there.
Great.
In context, that's funny.
And it's a funny picture too. Like, we'll end up posting it, but yeah, it's in the group chat if you want to look at it. Like the way that Columbia dealt with Jurassic Park kind of reminded me of that scene from Mad Men where Don Draper's in the elevator with one of the junior agents from his firm that he just kind of screwed over.
Yeah.
Which actually have there's like a meme thing that there's for that. Here, I'll send it to you. Do you guys know? Well, I know Joe does, but so stupid. And that took like another 20 minutes to do, which I should have been writing, but you know. Okay, so the scene is basically what happens, Joe? Like,
why am I blanking on his name? Gilroy.
It was damn it, I looked it up too, and I didn't write it down. I remember there was Ginsburg.
Ginsburg, yeah, there we go. Basically, what happens is like Don is going to pitch something to somewhere, and he's got his art and Ginsburg's art, who's like a up and coming
junior associate,
creative. But Don intentionally leaves his thing in the cab, and then he pitches his idea to the people. And then really Don does it because he's kind of scared of Ginsburg and like his creativity. And then later on, Ginsburg confronts him in an elevator, is like, "I feel bad for you." And Don's like, "I don't think about you at all," which became
walks out of the elevator.
Yeah, which became a meme because you can use it in like
this.
Yeah. But I mean, in reality, it was the opposite. He thought about him like he was intimidated by him.
Basically, like torpedoed him because he was like threatened by him.
It's funny that how that happens. Memes almost always entirely strip the context of like whatever TV show they're from and like end up meaning the opposite thing. Yeah.
But it works in this situation because like I'm pretty sure that's how it was.
Mm-hmm.
And by the way, I totally get that you have to hype the film up while promoting it. But Last Action Hero doesn't really have that same like big summer movie feel to it that movies like Terminator 2 or Jurassic Park or something like Independence Day would have.
Sure.
Like even John McTiernan addressed that when he told Empire magazine in 2012, quote, "I didn't have time to get intimately involved in all the press disasters, but the advertising campaign was terrible." It did seem that if they hadn't overhyped the movie, it would have been a lot easier to sell it because it's actually sweet and kind of small in its heart. It isn't Cleopatra. It's the anti-Cleopatra. If they had come on... That's all it takes is just to say come on something and then I start cracking up. Jesus Christ, like a fucking child. Whatever. Anyway, if they had come on...
If they had just come on Elizabeth Taylor...
If they'd come at it a little more quietly, I'm just changing the words because it probably would have worked out better for them. Unquote. And he's not wrong about either of those things, actually, because their advertising can't, which is a word that we're going to stop because it goes in the advertising. But yeah, so we'll get into the advertising later.
Okay.
Anyway. Okay. And that's going to do it for this episode. But join us next week as we take a deep dive into Last Action Hero's insane marketing campaign that was quite literally out of this world. Hint, hint. Until then, though, thank you so much for listening. And if you could please help us out by leaving either a rating or review on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify, it would just be amazing. It helps us reach more people. It helps us out so much. Thank you once again, and we'll see you soon.
See you at the party, Richter!
If you enjoy our show, please consider giving us a positive review on Apple Podcasts or your podcast app of choice. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Potty Richter to make sure you never miss an episode. See You at the Potty Richter is a production of Tape Deck Media. Follow Tape Deck on Instagram at tapedeck_media or look us up on Facebook for more hilarious podcasts.
This has been a Tape Deck Media production. Thank you for listening.